Hey guys, in today's video, we're going to talk about how to start the downswing with an iron in terms of how the upper body works. Hey guys, Eric here at the Bethlehem Golf Club. I want to talk to you today about how to start the downswing with an iron, and in particular how the upper body works. Now before we dive into that, for those of you who can't make it for in-person coaching, would love for you to check out CogornoGolf.com. That's where you and I can work together online. It's our online membership, our online community full of golfers like yourself and myself looking to get better. Most importantly, as a member of Cogorno Golf, you're able to send me videos of your swing as a member of our Facebook group. You can post up those videos. I will give you feedback on those swings, identify priorities, and walk you through how to practice and improve those. You also get access to everything. You get all of our master classes. You get everything on the site, including the member library, the practice library, and the quick fix section. I would love to see you guys on CogornoGolf.com. We'll include a link in the description down below. All right, so let's talk about how to start the downswing with an iron, and in particular, how the upper body works. Now, we had a little bit of a discussion on this with our previous videos with Marty Nowicki. If you guys want to check some of those out, iron versus driver. And what I really want to talk about is how the upper body, really everything, but focusing on how the upper body starts the downswing. And I say iron in particular because there are some slight adjustments to this relative to if you're hitting an iron or short iron and a long iron or driver that we sort of overlapped or we talked about in that video with Marty if you want to look up driver swing versus iron swing. But let's talk about how the upper body starts the downswing. Now, I've seen some videos before and some articles and some information that sort of explained a topic that I don't think is well understood in terms of how this upper body works. And I want to make sure it's clear for you guys. So in these videos and articles I saw, if I get up to the top of my backswing and we talk about the downswing, what they were really showing is, hey, as you make your downswing with that iron, where do my hips go in space versus where my upper body goes, my torso, or what we're gonna look at is gonna be rib cage area. So if you look here in space, my hips are gonna be somewhere in space. You can say, hey, here's where my belt buckle is, and then my rib cage is gonna be somewhere. Now, as I start my downswing, I could have my hips go forward of my rib cage. Clearly, my hips are more towards the target than my rib cage. I could have my rib cage go forward of my hips, or I could have them go basically together as you start down. And what these videos showed and what these coaches that have gears could show is that in a lot of the elite ball strikers with their irons, and this is interesting, their rib cage actually in early transition got forward or more towards the target than their belt buckle. And I think a lot of people are under the assumption as you work down that you're supposed to bump the hips or that your belt buckle should get forward of your upper body. But what we saw with these players with the irons, again, because we want to hit the ball, want to hit down a little more, get the ball off the turf, their rib cage actually got a little bit forward relative to their pelvis motion as they came down. And so I want to make you guys aware of that in general. Now, where this can really help is if you're a player, and I see this a lot with higher level players, who goes up to the top and you've been taught to shift a lot of pressure forward, you can see as my hips go really far towards the target that the rib cage stays back. So the more my hips push forward, the more my rib cage goes back and I have tilt. Now, some of that is good. Okay, if you're someone who overdoes it and you're over the top, that feel can be good. But if you overdo that, especially with the shorter clubs, you can have contact and swing direction issues. So what I want you guys to feel here, and I'm gonna show you a couple of really good players here in a minute, and I'm also gonna show you a drill how to practice this. But the basic sensation, the point here is when you're hitting these shorter clubs off the ground, I make my backswing here, I want to get my rib cage kind of floating down and forward. Now, all of me is going to go down and forward. I'm not going just rib cage and hips back. I'm going to go rib cage and hips, but I want to feel like my rib cage gets a little bit of a head start as I drift down and forward. What we're going to see in these videos is if you draw a line on the circle, the head and the rib cage are going to go down and forward until about halfway down, and then they'll stop and they'll recenter, and I'll push off of that and turn. And again, I'm going to show you guys a really awesome drill, but let's take a look at a swing here so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's take a look at Adam Scott here and see how his rib cage works. Now, I think the easiest way to do this and when you film yourself is if you really look at where his head moves in space, even though we're talking rib cage, we can see some things. So I'm gonna just draw a circle around his head at address. He's just hitting a short iron here. And we'll get him up to the top of the backswing. And you'll see most players more or less stay in the circle on the backswing. The key here is now from the top of the swing to about the first half of the downswing, we're gonna note his head does not stay in the circle. What happened from the top to left arm parallel? His head went from in the circle to down and forward of the circle, right? And it's really that beginning phase where he'll get this down and forward. Now his head is clearly down and forward compared to where it started with. Now as he swings from here into impact, he doesn't keep going down and forward. He really just goes on the wall, right? And that's really the idea, is as he starts on the way down, that down and forward float motion is really that lead shoulder working down, that lead hip working down, but really this rib cage area, this sort of middle torso area is gonna work down and forward. Actually, it gets sort of a head start there in terms of getting more forward towards the target than the hips in reality when you measure. So that's a really good visual one more time. Here's where he is at the top of the backswing. From here until left arm parallel, about halfway down, we're gonna see a down and forward motion of the rib cage and the upper body until left arm parallel. Once he's at left arm parallel, it's as far forward as he goes, and then from there, he's just gonna work up and kind of neutralize that at that spot. So down and forward to left arm parallel, hit the wall, and then stop there. All right, guys, so there you saw how Adam began his downswing there in terms of how the rib cage moves. And really what I want you to do in the beginning, especially if you're suffering with poor contact or too much tilting, especially this way, is just get a general sense of that sensation with your rib cage. Go ahead and throw a video up, or at a minimum, get the mirror in front, put the live view on so you can see and have a sensation. As I begin down, I'm gonna feel as though that rib cage gets a little forward of my hip. So I'm feeling like my left edge of my rib cage is getting a little bit forward of the outside of my hip. It's not gonna actually happen, but I'm feeling like it's a little bit this way. I'm not pushing my hips back, but I'm feeling the rib cage down and forward. Start with a short club. Let's hit a couple half shots just to get a sensation and see how that feels with our contact. So I'll rehearse one or two here. Again, ideally I got live view. I've got the video in front. I'm actually watching myself do it. But as I work down here like this, as I come in, I'm feeling the rib cage down and forward. You've seen videos before we talked about, I'm kind of feeling that left shoulder, my head down and forward as well, but I'm feeling the rib cage down and forward. I'm just gonna hit one or two like that. So the rib cage goes down and forward as I begin that downswing phase. And again, what I'm looking for out of this is not excessive amount of hip slide and tilt and solidness of contact. Okay, when you're looking on video, you're looking for the hip to get not drastically far ahead of that rib cage, just in the first half of that downswing phase. So one more just kind of rehearsal. Feeling that left rib cage going down and forward here to start. And that one felt really good there. And you're looking for an increase in the solidness of contact. Now, that would be where I would start with it. There's also a drill you can do for good feedback. I'll show you guys in a minute. All right, guys, so a good drill you can do along with this to give you feedback. Again, like that analyzer video, if you do record yourself, you can draw the circle around your head. You want to see that head go a little down and forward with the rib cage before you come up, but ultimately a good feedback drill would be this. Now, we've got a little shaft holder from Mike Bender. Mike Bender's site has a ton of really good training aids. If you can check that out, we got the Bender shaft holder, and I just put an alignment rod or shaft through there. Now, really where I want to have this set up is about level with my eyes or my face here, and kind of just in front from the face on view, just in front of my left shoulder at about face height. Now, if you don't have one of these shaft holders, I used to just you can put a golf bag in front of you, put a shaft through the bag. You can put a couple of these into the ground if you have ground there. You can put them into a bucket and figure out a way to get an object just in front of you, even with your head and just in front of the left shoulder here at address. Now, what does this do for me? Well, I want your rib cage to go forward to start the downswing. I want the left shoulder to go forward to start the downswing, but I don't want you to go forever. So I don't want you to go till the point you hit the stick. The stick is here as sort of a barrier where you can feel like, hey, as I start down, I'm gonna feel like my rib cage and my shoulder work a little bit closer. My head's working closer to the stick until about halfway down, and then I'm gonna even it out and make sure I stay behind it on the way through. The goal is down and forward to create the angle of attack, but then let myself extend up and out so I can still have a shallow angle of approach. We talked about that in some of our lead shoulder videos. So let's go ahead and hit one or two. I've got this set up just in front of me, and I'm just gonna get that sensation again using video ideally. Just some half swings, got maybe a 9-iron here, 100 yards, feeling the rib cage down and forward, getting closer to the stick, and then coming up and out, sort of hitting the wall at that point. And I'll start short, and then we'll build ourselves up here. Good. And that feels like I'm again, I'm down and forward just for a hair, just for a second. The downswing happens so fast. It's just a split second of my downswing. When I do that, I feel that I don't get all the way to the stick, but I'm going towards it a little bit, and then I'm evening out and coming up and out. Same thing, rib cage, left shoulder down and forward, and then I'm up and out of that, just to get a little feel, a little float to the left. And that feels really solid for me. Again, a little bit of movement forward and then even it out. Check that Adam Scott example. If you guys have any questions on how this works, leave a comment down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. If you liked the video, do us a favor, click the like button down below. Click the notification bell. Also, please subscribe. Thank you guys for watching.